Hey comic fans, Dave here at Ground Zero, and just in case you woke up this morning thinking it was Wednesday, congratulations, you are correct. That is unless you're watching this video on a different day of the week, in which case let me remind you, you can like, subscribe, and follow all our videos on YouTube, in which case you will get notifications every time they are posted, and at least once a week you will know exactly what day of the week it is. Just another free service we provide here at Ground Zero. But yes, it is New Comic Book Day, hence all the new comic books back behind me on the wall there, and it is a great week. So let's dive right in, shall we? Beginning with a recurring segment I like to call Marvel Math Am Make No Sense. This week, the big one, the much anticipated Black Panther number 25. This is not only the grand finale to Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on the book, certainly a landmark run for this particular title. It's the final issue of this series. It's also issue number 25, a double-sized spectacular. And you'll notice, if you can read the fine print there, it is issue number 197 for the LGY number. Now, kids, if you don't know what the LGY number is, normally I'd say ask your parents. But in this case, don't. They'll probably get it wrong. The LGY number actually just takes all of the other issues from all the other runs of Black Panther, including the Christopher Priest run, the Reginald Hudlin run, the Jonathan Mayberry run, puts them all together to make one longer run of books. Which is why not only is this issue number 25, it's also issue number 197. Now, this is the final issue of this run, but of course the character is coming back in an all-new series starting in a couple of months, and that will be issue number 1. So, the answer to your question, what number follows number 25? The answer is number 1, followed by number 2, and all the obligatory number 2 jokes, but then issue number 3 will be issue number 200. So, that's 3, count them, 3 big key numbered issues in the span of 4 issues. Thank you, Marvel. May we have another? Marvel says yes. Also, this week from Marvel, the 4th issue of Heroes Reborn. I actually really kind of like this series, but you people are not buying it. What will it take to get you to buy this book? Well, how about Thanos on the cover? No? Well, they tried. Can't fault them for trying. Okay, moving over to DC. Obviously, one of the big, important landmark creators for DC over the past couple of decades is Geoff Johns. Now, if you don't know enough about Geoff Johns, he started out working as an intern for Richard Donner, who had directed the Superman movie and lots of other classics, and then found himself at DC, where the first series he pitched was actually Stars and Stripe. This was enough of a success to give him a shot at co-writing JSA. And he followed that with Green Lantern and The Flash and just about every book you can think of, Aquaman. If there's a character at DC, he probably took a shot at him and revitalized the character. He is very much responsible for the DC universe that we know today. Well, he is returning now in the Stargirl Spring Break special. This sets up new Stargirl stuff. Obviously, they've got a Stargirl series in the works. So it comes full circle from the entertainment industry into comics. Back to the entertainment industry, and all sorts of cool comics in between. Geoff Johns, one of our favorite creators here, and Stargirl Spring Break Special is out now. But a book you absolutely want to pick up is Milestone Returns. Now, if you don't know enough about Milestone, they were an important, ahead of their time comic book company back in the 90s. I did a video on them, one of my interesting enough videos from last year. Go back and look at that if you don't know their backstory. It's really a fascinating backstory. Definitely a comic book line that needs more love than it got at the time. Maybe this is the time that can finally get the success they deserve. This issue brings back Dennis Cohen, but also has other industry heavyweights like Jim Lee, all lending their efforts to give this the right push. It's going to lead into at least, I think, 3 new series coming from Milestone. So absolutely something we recommend that you want to pick up. Give Milestone some love. They deserve it. Also deserving of your love, Batman Black and White. This series has been really popular, but honestly, this cover gives me eye strain, so that's enough of that. New from DC this week, Robin drops number 2. So it's time for the obligatory number 2. And we get it from Robin, and I know what you're all wondering, and you're all thinking, well, how does Robin's number 2 compare with Batman's? Well, Batman, of course, has been around for a long time. He has dropped number 2 a lot of different times, most recent being Urban Legends number 2. Now, this was a double-sized 64-page book. So the answer, of course, is Batman's number 2 was much more robust, at least twice as thick as Robin's. And there you go. But honestly, cut Robin some slack. I mean, he's young. He probably eats a lot of junk food. But he's number 2 this week. Over from the competition across town, The Marvels hits its own number 2, and it is bright and multicolored. You probably are thinking there could not possibly be a more technicolor, garish number 2 than that. but you did not reckon with the mighty power that is My Little Pony, who obviously does number 2 in rainbow style. So that's enough about that. Moving from number 2 to number 3, and I know you're thinking, but number 3 is weird and unnatural. Well, Alien. Alien does number 3, and they does it this week. So that hits the stands. This has actually been a very popular series. You combine Alien with Marvel Comics Might, and you get a smash hit, and that's what this has been. And the 3rd issue actually hits the stands this week, as does the 3rd issue of Beta Ray Bill. Also, coincidentally, an Alien. So if you're wondering how we can get number 3 and combine it with number 2, well, Aliens. There you go. Not an alien, but maybe not entirely completely natural. Witchblood also hits number 3 this week. That's actually been kind of a nice little series, done pretty well. And then 2 more from DC. Teen Titans Academy drops its own number 3 this week, as does Harley Quinn. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, Harley Quinn is not an alien and not particularly unnatural, but hey, she's up for anything. So number 3, there we are. The final, and certainly the biggest of the number 3s this week, The Last Ronin. This series has taken seemingly forever to come out, but the wait has just made people even in a bigger frenzy than they already were. It has been a smash, smash, smash success. Number 3, it's in this week, and it's on the stands. I've got a bunch of them. Hopefully we won't sell out, but we'll see. Let's see here. Not a number 3, actually a number 1. From Vault Comics, we get Blue Flame. Now, Vault Comics has quietly been quite a success. They've been building some steam, making some noise with a lot of books that have done really pretty well. Now they're trying to really build a little bit more cohesive line, and starting that with Blue Flame. It's kind of a Green Lantern meets Rocketeer, very pulpy. If you like Green Lantern, this book uses the word space sector a lot. So either way, it's got the really cool Dave Stevens Rocketeer homage cover that attracted me because I love Dave Stevens and Rocketeer. So, you know, good choice if you're going to do a homage like that. Also, an indie book, the 318th issue of Spawn. Now, I know it's hard to get excited about issue number 318, but if you haven't followed Spawn in a while, they're trying to really do some different things with it now. They're going to lead into several new titles. They're going to spin off, maybe expanding the Spawn universe, and they're setting the stage for that one-shot that kind of starts that with this issue. Either way, it's a good time to pick Spawn back up if you have let it lapse in recent years, or maybe you just dropped it back in the 90s along with Glitter and Backstreet Boys or whatever. Either way, it's on the stands this week, as is the new issue of Previews, coincidentally. Now, Previews is still kind of the industry standard catalog with just about everything in it, except for DC Comics, who pulled out. But everything else that you want to know about comics is in this. Everything that's coming out in a couple of months, including the expansion of the Spawn universe. So, you know, honestly, if you're a comic fan, this is something you need to be looking at every month when it comes out, at least while we can. Trades. Yes, there were trades this week. And certainly I learned my lesson. I know better than to skip trades. One of the biggest that we're excited about is Crossover. You've heard me talk about Crossover a lot. We love this book. Everybody loves Donny Cates. This is a very, very meta series, and it's done very well, so it's hard to imagine there's anybody who hasn't been reading this already. But just in case you're one of those holdouts who has been waiting for the trade, you can hold out no longer. Submit. Crossover number 3. Actually, I ordered a bunch of these, but a lot of them arrived damaged, so I don't have nearly as many this week as I hoped to have. Either way, we'll get more in because this is a must-have. We certainly intend to stock it as deep as we can. From DC, Mythological, Superman trade, fairly thick one, that takes most of Brian Michael Bendis' run. Now, obviously, DC fans on the internet really whined and complained about Brian Michael Bendis and what he was doing to the DC universe. So if you're curious as to what it was he did that had them so unhappy and upset, well, here's a good way to find out. It's nice, big, and thick. Honestly, Bendis is a great writer. He does good stuff. DC fans just like to complain. One final book I'm going to talk about, and that is Xenozoic Tales. I absolutely adore Xenozoic Tales. This one is going to get my highest recommendation. Mark Schultz does amazing black and white art. It took forever for the series to come out. It started in the 80s, and gosh, I want to say 15, 16 issues. Took him probably 20 years to do because it is amazingly detailed, meticulous black and white art, glorious stuff, very reminiscent of Frank Frazetta and Al Williamson and Wally Wood and all the pulp greats of the EC Comics era and the pulp books that followed, Creepy and Eerie and what have you, in the 60s, all combined into a giant mismatch of cool post-apocalyptic dinosaurs and Cadillacs and hot babes, and everything you'd want in a comic book series. It is all right here. And the entire run is collected in this big, thick, massive paperback. Now, this is a series that needs to be available all the time, but it comes in print and then it goes out of print. It's out of print for a while, then it comes back in print. It is back in print. So if you don't already own this, buy it now while you can, because honestly, every comic fan needs to read this. This is the kind of stuff I love. This is what we read comic books for. So, Xenozoic Tales, I don't just recommend it, I insist. There you go. Well, that's it, actually, folks. I mean, actually, it's not it, because there's a whole lot more books back there, but we try to keep these things under 10 minutes, and once again, I am not succeeding, so I'm going to leave it there and just say, folks, whatever you're doing this week, do it with gusto. Once again, that is our word of the week, gusto, so do it with gusto, and always remember, kids, it's not about having what you want, it's about wanting what you have. We'll see you in a couple hours, everybody. Have a great week.